Federal Reserve repos are exploding. Why investors should watch out. Hello, I'm Steve Forbes, and this is What's Ahead, where you get the insights you need to better navigate these turbulent times. It hasn't had much publicity, but the Federal Reserve has been using a seemingly esoteric device big time, a gimmick really, to try to prevent a future outburst of inflation far worse than what we've been experiencing. Investors had better hope for two big things. One, that the Fed has thought through what it is doing and is not simply grasping at a short-term expedient to fend off an inflationary disaster. And two, that Congress does not pass President Biden's humongous spending bills that in reality exceed a mind-numbing, incomprehensible $6 trillion. The device we're referring to is called a reverse repurchase agreement, or reverse repo for short. It simply means that the Fed, in effect, borrows money from financial institutions for a very short period of time and uses U.S. government securities, that is, treasuries, as collateral. Technically, the Fed sells the security and agrees to buy it back at a slightly higher price later. The difference between the higher price and the original price constitutes the interest payment. Now, a few months ago, the Fed's holding of these instruments was zero. Now they're around $1 trillion. What gives? Why would the Fed be borrowing so much short-term money? The main reason? To soak up the mammoth amounts of money that it has been creating. Money that, if not neutralized, could fuel a forest fire of future inflation. The rising prices we're now experiencing have two causes. One, of course, is the enormous supply chain disruptions from the pandemic. The second is the excess money printing the Fed engaged in 2019 and 2020, which was reflected by a 50% increase in the price of gold and an unwelcome rise in interest rates. Now, the Fed is trying to curb its ongoing money printing, thereby avoiding a big burst of inflation in 2022, an election year for Congress, and not raise interest rates. Hence, these reverse repos. In essence, the Fed manufactures the money by buying bonds and paying for them by creating money out of thin air, then pulls the money back by borrowing it short term. It's like pouring a bucket of water in one end of a pool, then removing a bucket of water at the other end. Investors need to know, how long can this game go on? That's where those proposed spending bills come in. If passed, the deficit, already huge, will explode, and the Fed will have to buy cartloads of bonds to finance it, which means a flood of new money and eventually a new, worse round of inflation. If thwarted, then the crisis, for now, will be far less acute. Let's hope Congress does this one right. I'm Steve Forbes. Thanks for listening. Do send in your comments and suggestions, and I look forward to being with you soon again.